E-3 Sentry, known as the AWACS, or Airborne Warning and Control System, has flown continuously, especially in places like the Middle East, for more than 20 years. But its most recent deployments in Iraq and other areas in the Middle East have really given it a whole new sense of requirement. It is not just its aerial requirement that is providing huge amounts of intelligence and support, it is a huge communication hub for any kind of ground forces as well. So let's talk a little bit about how it came to be. The United States Air Force began testing the E-3 Sentry in October 1975, taking a standard Boeing 707-320 commercial aircraft straight from the production line and outfitting it with a massive 30-foot wide radar dome which could rotate. Along with mission control systems in the cabin, there was also space for 19 specialists to operate the radar control systems inside of the aircraft. Shortly after the first E-3s were delivered to Tinker Air Force Base in 1977, the aircraft began flying missions at home and in operations abroad. These missions varied from different operations around the world, from small ones to big ones, whether it be Grenada or air wars in Yugoslavia, Iraq and Afghanistan, with the aircraft proving it can deploy very quickly to help set up an air campaign overseas for any kind of early warning or aerial tracking. The AWACS and their crews deployed constantly in the years since the E-3 entered the fleet, using a massive radar to track and control US and Allied aircraft in all weather and providing all real-time pictures of the battle spaces to Joint Operation Air Centers. During flights, the jet tracks everything in its area, both friendly and hostile activity, and helps provide location information for aircraft. Decades after the Air Force began flying its E-3 fleet, the service used the same commercial frame for the new fleet, the E-8C Joint Surveillance Target Attack Radar System. The United States Air Force officials have recently said that the lack of Boeing 707 production lines and dwindling parts is the main reason for why this service needs to move forward and replace all the E-3 Sentries with E-8s with a new commercial aircraft. Some of these 707s were heavily used as, quote, cattle cars before the service bought them in the 1990s for conversion, and since then costs have grown too burdensome to continue to fly them. However, the E-3 fleet has remained comparatively healthy as today's standards, and will be able to fly safely for a lot longer into the future with the various upgrades and packages that have funded it to keep going today. The jet needs technological upgrades to stay viable though, as opposed to service life extensions and engine replacements that would be needed for a less healthy fleet. In the fiscal report of 2015, the upgraded E-3G fleet saw a mission-capable rate of 82%, with the service fleets of EC-8s actually lagging behind at 76%. But it's not just an issue of health, it's a scattered past of the E-8 fleet that causes its hazy future. In 1999, the AWACS went through a joint US and NATO program to improve its radar systems and install a radar electronic countermeasure system. The upgrade program was in partnership with the 552nd Air Control Wing at Tinker Air Force Base and the E-3 Systems Program Office at Hanscom Air Force Base. The Oklahoma City Air Force Logistics Complex and prime contractor Boeing aimed to turn around the 5 E-3s per year. The depot cycle and upgrades were meticulously programmed so that basically Air Combat Command could maintain its deployment schedule. Unfortunately, the hardware on board the Air Force's older E-3 fleet dates to when it started flying in the late 1970s, and while the massive radar brings in copious amounts of data, crews on board were limited by old computers' ability to translate that information. The upgrades that were placed upon the aircraft was like moving from an Atari to an Xbox. It was completely modernizing how air battle managers actually handle the sensor data. What that basically means is that the radar dome and the sensors that are picking up the data is extraordinarily advanced. Unfortunately, the superstructure and the sensors and the equipment to actually translate that data inside of the aircraft was very old, and wasn't able to keep up with the technological advances that they were trying to place on the E-3. The aircraft's systems were pretty much at the most high capacity they could get to for actually receiving, but increasing the work for the onboard crew was actually decreasing the output of the information being sent to the rest of the battle airspace. You could kind of compare it to having 7 iPhones all sending you text messages all at the same time, and then you having to type that message on a typewriter and mail it off to someone who you need to pass that message on to. It just wasn't efficient. However, during its upgrades of Block 4045, it was given huge amounts of changes inside and outside to allow the aircraft to be a lot more effective. The Boeing E-3 Sentry is far more though than just an airborne radar. It's nicknamed the Eye in the Sky by many pilots that work with it. This airborne warning and control system is a combination of flying command post and basically a spy plane. The capabilities of this aircraft are somewhat incredible. With its outstanding million-watt Doppler radar system, AWACS can detect incoming aircraft, or missiles for that matter, from treetop height all the way up to the high end of the stratosphere and out to hundreds of miles farther than any ground-based radar system. The sheer range and sensitivity of the AWACS AN/APY2 radar, which is also capable of ignoring ground clutter that confuses most radars, is a game-changing feature in itself. During Desert Storm, most Iraqi warplanes were continuously tracked from the moment they went wheels up from their bases, and the E-3s circling plus 200 miles away were able to calculate exactly where they were. In aerial combat, the advantage always swings to the side with the E-3s. The eye in the sky provides total situational awareness of friendly and hostile activity, real-time command and control of an area of responsibility, early warning of enemy actions, and flexible battle management of theater forces, so they can basically coordinate jets where they need to go exactly when they need them. Almost as important, AWACS crews ease the burden on combat aircraft by coordinating various reconnaissance, weapons control, battle management, and communication functions, which of course are a lot of things that if the pilot needs to can off-source to the E-3. In other words, once a threat is identified, the AWACS Fully Integrated Command and Control Battle Management System, or the C2BM system, known as the God's Eye view of the battle space, are the ultimate force multipliers for pilots in the sky. While the enemy aircraft are blind to what targets are doing, the E-3 Sentry is busy rerouting friendly forces to intercept them very quickly. With the added benefit that the defensive fighters do not need to actively scan with their own radar, the E-3s make these fighters nearly invisible to the enemy until they have to open fire. In addition, while completely unarmed, sentries are quite actually difficult to kill. Even when not escorted by friendly fighters, their epic radar range allows them to spot incoming threats well ahead of time, therefore not even allowing missiles to intercept them. Even anti-radar missiles such as HARM have very little effect against AWACS. Unlike ground-based radar stations, this big jet can simply switch their radar to passive mode and rocket out of any missile's engagement envelope in seconds. During the Persian Gulf War and NATO's Bosnian intervention, sentries shrugged off detected EM jamming attempts without any significant effect on their performance. Complementing all of these unique capabilities, E-3s have 8 hours of endurance on station without refueling whatsoever. Thanks to an onboard crew rest area and ample in-flight refueling, AWACS missions can last much longer if necessary. Of course, the E-3 Sentry isn't limited to dominating just airspace. The incredibly powerful radar and other sensors on board vacuum up the information from a wide range of sources. These include SIGINT and HUMINT, which are basically rapid systems that allow onboard computers and specialized staffers to shine a spotlight through the fog of war on the ground. This includes tracking and targeting details for enemy aircraft, ships, and even some ground forces that are actually in contact, especially radar sites. Command and control centers also fall into this, and some artillery units that are producing their own radar signatures. The E-3 Sentry can transmit all of its situational intelligence extremely quickly in a universal format to local commanders, whether they're troops on the ground, pilots in the sky, or ships at sea, or even allied forces. Whether in wartime or humanitarian crises, the E-3s are often the first assets deployed by the White House to get a clear picture of what's going on and to dominate the airspace of threats that pop up. In terms of power, she is powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney TF-33 PW100 Alpha turbofan engines, producing around 20,500 pounds of thrust on each engine at sea level. The rotodome is 30 feet in diameter and 6 feet thick, and slightly canted forward to improve aerodynamics. You'd think that a dome like this would produce huge amounts of drag on the aircraft, but it's actually significantly reduced to the way in which it's been designed and shaped. The 2 struts that hold it in place really do reduce the overall impact to the aircraft's aerodynamic features. The wingspan is 145 feet, a substantial size of an aircraft. Its height is 41 feet including its radome, and its weight is around 205,000 pounds or 92,986 kilograms. Its maximum takeoff weight is 325,000 pounds or 147,418 kilograms. It's pretty hefty. It does have 21,000 gallons or 79,494 litres of fuel, as I said before, allowing it to stay on station for a lot of time. When you don't put passengers inside of this thing, you have a little bit more space to put other things inside of there. Her optimum cruise speed is around 360 miles per hour at about Mach 0.48. she does have a range of more than 5,000 nautical miles or 9,250 kilometers. For an aircraft of this size, and considering what it's capable of, it does have a ceiling of around 29,000 feet or 8,788 meters, which is pretty impressive. The crew is a flight of 4, allowing it to actually fly, with a crew of 13 to 19 specialists. Mission crew size vary according to mission. The cost itself of the entire aircraft is around $270 million, and it was initially operated in April 1978. Actively, there are 32 of these aircraft in the forces around the world, including that of NATO. But as mentioned before, this aircraft has definitely hit its life cycle. The E-3 Alpha has been replaced in the United States Air Force service by the E-3 Bravo and E-3 Charlie, with upgraded APY-2 radars and a higher speed computer system and secure communications facilities. The E-3C also has 5 additional operator consoles. In 2001, the United States Air Force AWACS force numbers of 18 E-3BC aircraft, while NATO continues to fly the 17 survivors of the 18 jointly funded E-3 Alphas. The E-3s, powered by the CFM56 engines, serve with France 4 E-3Fs, Saudi Arabia 5 E-3 Alphas, and the UK 7 E-3 Deltas, which are the AEW Mark 1s. The E-3 remains invaluable to Air Force's frontline forces of actually detecting and securing airspaces, and the service is currently considering upgrading all of its E-3s with a glass flight deck of the next generation of Model 737s and the Eagle system to detect and track theater-specific ballistic missiles. With an infrared search and track sensor and laser rangefinder, this increases the capability of this aircraft even more. Major upgrades are also planned for the radar, computer and navigation systems, as well as re-engaging the CFM56 F-108 power plants into a new rotational cycle, which will improve their overall capability at flying. All AWACS aircraft undergo continuous modifications for modernization operations of support. NATO's E-3 AWACS fleet is predicted to retire around 2035. At the Warsaw Summit in 2016, Allies declared that by 2035 the Alliance needs to have a follow-on capability to the E-3 AWACS. But it is safe to say that this aircraft has served its period of time since its creation very well, and will continue to serve up until 2035 with the exceptionally very well produced radar coverage that it has of today. For example, one aircraft flying at 30,000 feet has a surveillance area coverage of more than 120,000 square miles, 310,798 square kilometers, and 3 of these aircraft operating in an overlapping coordinated orbit can provide unbroken radar coverage of the entire land of central landmass of Europe, and that is pretty darn impressive.
hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification icon for the latest videos as they are released. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.